From galaxies that are shaped weirdly to ones that have unique properties, join me as I show you the strangest galaxies in the universe. Number 9. ESO 137-001. I want you to think about the shapes of universes. Depending on the pictures you look at, you likely think of things like spirals that many galaxies are believed to be shaped as. But in the case of ESO 137-001, that isn't exactly the case because this galaxy is shaped like a jellyfish. No, really, the spiral form of the galaxy is still there, but it also has a tail that is formed by stars that are in its wake, if you will. And it's quite a tail as it extends over 260,000 light-years into space. The newly forming stars in the tail are mysterious because processes common in large groups of galaxies should make it difficult for new stars to emerge. Most galaxies live in groups. For example, the Milky Way is a member of the Local Group, which also contains galaxies like Andromeda and the Triangulum Spiral. Some galaxies reside in much larger gatherings of hundreds or even thousands of galaxies, known as a galaxy cluster. But that's not what's happening here. And that's what makes it all the more weird and strange. Both gas and dust are getting stripped off, but how much and what happens to the stripped material and the galaxy itself are still open questions, said Stacey Alberts of the University of California, a co-investigator on the project. Researchers aren't sure how stars are able to form at all within the tail since the stripping process should have heated the gas. We think it's hard to strip off a molecular cloud that's already forming stars because it should be tightly bound to the galaxy by gravity, which means either we're wrong or this gas got stripped off and heated up, but then had to cool again so that it could condense and form stars, explains Alberts. Call this a major mystery of the universe because something like this is both somewhat common and yet very much unexplained. And to see one this overt, yeah, that's a rarity. Number 8. NGC 1052-DF2. Okay, this one was weird in context, as I'll explain. You see, in 2018, the Hubble Space Telescope, one of the most important pieces of technology we have in terms of mapping space, found a galaxy known as NGC 1052-DF2. When scientists and astronomers looked at the galaxy, though, they felt that something was missing. Mainly, there was a lack of dark matter, and that should have been impossible. Dark matter is conventionally believed to be an integral part of all galaxies, the glue that holds them together and the underlying scaffolding upon which they are built, explains co-author Alison Merritt from Yale University and the Max Planck Institute for Astronomy, Germany. And Van Dockum adds, this invisible, mysterious substance is by far the most dominant aspect of any galaxy. Finding a galaxy without any is completely unexpected. It challenges standard ideas of how galaxies work. And he wasn't the only one shocked by the images of a galaxy without dark matter. I spent an hour just staring at this image, lead researcher Peter Van Dockum of Yale University says as he recalls first seeing the Hubble image of NGC 1052-DF2. This thing is astonishing, a giant blob so sparse that you see the galaxies behind it. It's literally a see-through galaxy. Now, it's very curious that they're panicking somewhat about a lack of dark matter, mainly because we haven't proved that dark matter exists yet. It's believed to be real, sure, and many feel that the properties explained in regards to dark matter make sense, sure. But to say that dark matter is real definitively is a lie, because as noted, it's invisible, and it's undetectable with the instruments that we have right now. So how could we really know if it's there or not? Sure enough, after some heavy research, a mistake was noticed. The distance of the galaxy was much closer to Earth than previously stated, and because of that, the size of the galaxy was rectified, and it made sense as to why it was see-through and blob-like. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is why you don't jump the gun on big proclamations like this in regards to the universe. Number 7. MACS 2129-1. The place known as MACS 2129-1 is definitively a galaxy that stands out for a whole host of reasons, not the least of which is because it's what's known as a dead galaxy. To be clear, there is life in the form of stars and planets within it, but that's not the issue. The galaxy is no longer active, meaning that it's not making any more stars, despite it being over 10 billion years old. Scientists believe that galaxies of this sort had formed by merging with smaller galaxies over time, but MACS 2129-1's stars didn't form from these sort of explosive mergers. They formed early on, or in the disk of the original galaxy. The truth of the matter is that this galaxy is both alive and dead, and that's very curious given the fact that it actually spins twice as fast as the Milky Way galaxy itself. So how can it spin so fast and yet not have any new stars be born in it? No one really knows, but scientists speculate that the galaxy rearranges its insides as it merges with other galaxies instead of changing the outer shape that we see. Number 6. The Andromeda Galaxy. Arguably the most famous galaxy in the universe outside the Milky Way. The Andromeda Galaxy is one that has led many people to wonder what is just outside our own galaxy, mainly because it's our neighbor. Not just that, it's our largest neighbor by a wide margin. And there's a very good reason for that. Mainly, the Andromeda Galaxy is known as a cannibal galaxy. What does that mean? Well, as the title describes, it actually collides and devours other galaxies in order to make itself bigger. Andromeda has a much bigger and more complex stellar halo than the Milky Way, which indicates that it has cannibalized many more galaxies, possibly larger ones. Lead study author Dougal Mackey, an astronomer at Australian National University, said in a statement, "Knowing what kind of a monster our galaxy is up against is useful in finding out the Milky Way's ultimate fate." According to estimates of the Andromeda Galaxy, it's believed that the massive cannibal has been eating star systems for over 10 billion years, which would explain a lot if you think about it. The thing that most people should be worried about, though, is the fact that the Andromeda Galaxy and the Milky Way galaxy is saddling up for a big showdown in about 4.5 billion years. And when they collide, no one will come out on top. And when that happens, the universe will definitely not be the same. Where will we be in all this? Well, if we survive that long, we'd probably still be in the Milky Way galaxy, and thus will likely be wiped out by the collision, but it's hard to say for certain. Number 5. The Tadpole Galaxy. So remember the jellyfish galaxy we talked a little while ago? Well, meet its cousin, the Tadpole Galaxy. This one is very on the nose in terms of its name because of the fact that it has a long tail that is attached to a body that reminds scientists of a tadpole. So looking at this, you may wonder, how did this happen? According to the ones who found it, it's a remnant of sorts from a galaxy that collided with another. We have found a giant, exceptional relic of a disrupted galaxy, says Dr. Noah Brosh of the Florence and George Wise Observatory at Tel Aviv's University School of Physics and Astronomy, who led the research for the study. What might not be conveyed so quickly in the images of the galaxy in question is just how long the tail itself is. It's huge. What makes this object extraordinary is that the tail alone is almost 500,000 light-years long, says Professor R. Michael Rich of the University of California, Los Angeles. If it were at the distance of the Andromeda Galaxy, which is about 2.5 million light-years from Earth, it would reach a fifth of the way to our own Milky Way. As for the body of the tadpole, the extragalactic tadpole contains a system of two very normal disk galaxies, each about 40,000 light-years across, says Dr. Brosh. Together with other nearby galaxies, the galaxies form a compact group. Scientists hope to study this tadpole galaxy and further learn how colliding galaxies can do something like this and how many more may be out there in the world. Before we continue to show you weird galaxies, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. That way you don't miss any of our weekly videos. Number 4. W2246-0526. If this list has shown you anything so far, is that the state of our universe is very much in a state of flux. But what you might not realize is that while some galaxies do collide with each other, others go and just steal things from one another. They alter shapes, steal stars, and sometimes even become brighter, which is the case with W2246-0526. The most luminous galaxy in the universe has been caught in the act of stripping away nearly half the mass from at least 3 of its smaller neighbors, according to a new study published in the Journal of Science. The light from this galaxy, known as W2246-0526, took 12.4 billion years to reach us. So we are seeing it as it was when our universe was only about a tenth of its present age. Now, this isn't the same as galaxies colliding with one another, as this isn't full-on bumper cars like the previous entries, but this is more like slowly picking a galaxy clean bit by bit and claiming everything as your own. Even scientists were surprised by the depth of this thievery. We knew from previous data that there were 3 companion galaxies, but there was no evidence of interactions between these neighbors and the central source, says Tania Diaz Santos of the Universidad Diego Portales in Santiago, Chile, lead author of the study. We weren't looking for cannibalistic behavior and weren't expecting it, but this deep dive with the ALMA Observatory makes it very clear. So it may be a bright spot in the universe, but this galaxy has a dark tone that can't be ignored. Number 3. Little Cub. Found in the Ursa Major constellation, there is a dwarf galaxy fondly known as the Little Cub, and it's one that has scientists very curious despite its impending doom. Why is that? Because the Little Cub, as it is known, is a galaxy that is dormant, and it has remained unchanged for about 13.7 billion years. If you know the alleged history of the universe, that would mean that it has been the same since the beginning of the universe, more or less. That would mean the gases, the molecules, and more could help us lead to more information about the Big Bang if we're able to study it. Oh, and what's that? What about it being doomed? Well, it's near another galaxy called NGC 3359, and it's slowly stripping away the gases of the Little Cub, basically making it a doomed thing, which is why many are trying to study it now before it's too late. By measuring the relative number of hydrogen and helium atoms in the Little Cub, we might be able to learn more about what made up the universe in the moments after it began 13.7 billion years ago. Number 2. The Petal Galaxy. Let's dig back into the visuals of galaxies for a bit. There are many galaxies out there in the universe that are growing at various rates, as we've shown. But ESO 381-12 is different. Not only is this one growing, it's growing in a way and in a shape that is truly baffling scientists. How so? Well, it looks like a flower in bloom, and the petals, as they are known, aren't symmetrical. Not only does this cause a very visual thing, it causes a mystery because no one is quite sure how they formed, why they look like that, and how the stars within them technically work. There are theories as to what they are, including being shock waves that were shown via the images of the galaxy, with the shock waves coming out from the collisions of galaxies that this one potentially had, but no one is really sure if that is a real thing. Number 1. Messier 83. 15 million light-years away in the Hydra is the galaxy known as Messier 83, and it's a galaxy that has caught a lot of people's eyes, mainly because those who have looked at it noted that it has 2 hearts. Messier 83's center is mysterious and unusual. The supermassive black hole at its heart is not alone. This striking spiral displays a phenomenon known as a double nucleus, a feature that has also been spotted in the Andromeda Galaxy, the nearest spiral galaxy to us. This does not mean that Messier 83 contains 2 central black holes, but that its single supermassive black hole may be ringed by a lopsided disk of stars, which orbits around the black hole and creates the appearance of a dual core. This mystery is what is getting Messier 83 a lot of attention, because if it does have 2 hearts, why is that? What makes this one so special? Also, why does it have so many supernova explosions? We're aiming to find out. Thanks for watching, everyone. What did you think of these weird galaxies up in space? Can you believe that such galaxies exist in our universe? Which of these do you think was the most strange or mysterious? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time on the channel.